Let's begin. The federal government has declared Wednesday a public holiday to mark Nigeria's 65th independent anniversary. In a statement on Monday, the Ministry of Interior explained that this year's celebration will be low-key, reflecting government's decision to adopt modest commemorations. Nigerians are encouraged to use the occasion to reflect on the country's journey since 1960, its challenges, and its progress made so far. According to the ministry, Independence Day remains a reminder of the sacrifices of the past leaders and the resilience of citizens in building a united nation. It urged Nigerians at home and abroad to demonstrate patriotism, tolerance, and collective responsibility. The government emphasized that unity and shared commitment are key to securing peace and development, while assuring citizens of its dedication to improve governance, security, and infrastructure. Although the celebrations will be modest, symbolic events are expected in Abuja and across state capitals. Activities will focus on prayer, civic engagement, and renewed commitment to the national growth rather than elaborate festivities. The Federal Ministry of Education has unveiled the 2025-2027 Unified Communication Strategy aimed at enhancing transparency, standardizing public messaging, and building trust in Nigeria's education reforms. The ministry said the plan will provide a clear framework for consistent engagement with stakeholders from students and parents to teachers and development partners. According to the official, the strategy is designed to eliminate fragmented communication within the sector, ensuring that policy updates, reform milestones, and feedback channels are coherent and accessible. By harmonizing its approach, the ministry hopes to boost accountability and reduce misinformation that has often clouded major education initiatives. The three-year strategy will also leverage digital platforms, media partnerships, and direct community outreach to sustain public confidence in ongoing reforms. Authorities stress that strengthening communications is central to achieving reform outcomes, particularly in improving learning standards, modernizing curricula, and expanding access to quality education nationwide. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has entered into another 2-year crude supply agreement with DANGOTE Petroleum Refinery, a move expected to strengthen domestic refining and reduce Nigeria's dependence on fuel imports. The deal signed in August guarantees a steady flow of crude oil to 650,000 barrels per day facility located in Lekki, Lagos, ensuring consistency in operations and boosting national energy security. According to details obtained from the NNPCL on Monday, the agreement aligns with the federal government's push to allocate more crude to the refinery, with a focus on denominating payments in Naira. From October 2024 to date, a total of 82 million barrels have been allocated to the refinery under existing agreement, reflecting growing collaborations between the state oil company and Africa's largest refinery project. Out of this allocation, about 60%, equivalent to 49.3 million barrels, has been sold to the refinery in Naira, a decision aimed at reducing foreign exchange pressure while strengthening the local currency. The Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, has expressed concern over what he described as misleading portrayals of Nigeria's development journey on social media platforms. He argued that many online narratives present unfair comparisons between Nigeria and advanced economies without considering the nation's peculiar challenges, historical context, and structural limitations. Speaking in Abuja during a courtesy visit by a delegation from the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, led by Regional Director Mr. Philbert Johnson, the minister cautioned against over-reliance on social media commentary when assessing economic progress. He said such narratives often cloud public understanding, foster misconception, and create unrealistic expectations about government policies and reforms. Bagudu further emphasized the importance of raising awareness about the dynamics of economic production and the role of subsidies in advanced countries, which are often overlooked in online debates. He also highlighted the need for broad collaboration in shaping the forthcoming National Development Plan 2026 to 2030, stressing inclusivity, sectorial growth, and long-term sustainability. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has demanded that the Dangote petrochemical refinery publicly apologize and reinstate over 800 workers allegedly dismissed for attempting to unionize. TUC Secretary General Nuhu Toro, speaking on a television program, described the sack as a violation of workers' constitutional right to freedom of association. Toro stressed that the dispute between Dangote management and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PEGASN, directly concerns the CUC. PEGASN is one of its affiliates. He said the Congress could not remain silent while members unfairly treated, likened to a martyr to a father defending his child. He further noted that both the TUC and PEGASN were present at the last reconciliation meeting held at the Ministry of Labor on September 8. He urged Dangote to respect labor laws and resolve the dispute amicably. Nigeria's 6-month ban on raw shea butter export, introduced to encourage local processing and boost women earnings, has instead triggered widespread hardship for rural communities instead of raising profits. The policy has caused market prices to collapse, leaving many families unable to make basic needs. Shea nuts, a vital source of income for thousands of women in northern Nigeria, are used globally in cosmetic, food, pharmaceuticals. Officials had hoped that the export suspension would spur investment in local value addition, creating jobs and increasing domestic revenues. However, farmers and traders say the lack of adequate processing facilities means they are unable to sell their produce at fair prices. When international buyers cut off, surplus nuts have piled up in the warehouses and prices have dropped drastically. Local cooperatives reports that many women who depend on shea sales for school fees and daily survivals are now facing severe financial strain. Stakeholders are calling on the government to review the ban and provide urgent support to affected households. Now, the Nigerian Exchange Limited, NGX, kicked off on the week on a bullish note, with investors recording 115 billion naira in market value gains on Monday. The rally was powered by strong performances in the banking and oil and gas sectors. At the close of trading, market capitalization rose to 90.1 trillion naira from 89.99 trillion naira in the previous session, while the all-share index climbed 244.51 points, or 0.17%, to finish at 142,377.54 basic points. Despite the upturn, trading volume and value declined compared to Friday's session. A total of 383.91 million shares worth of 11.61 billion naira were exchanged in 28,088 deals, reflecting a 26% drop in volume and 36% fall in value, though the number of deals surged by 26%. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we continue with more stories. Stay tuned.
There's one man who has consistently been a household name and index of reference in the business arena. The name Dangote apparently stands tall. The Africa's richest man clearly benchmarks success, wealth, and prosperity. His official love and passion for business are quite phenomenal. These can be traced to his background. Born in April 10, 1957 to Maria Sanusi Dantata and Mohammed Dangote, his maternal ancestors were prosperous caravan traders under British colonial rule, and his grandfather, Alhaji Sanusi Dantata, was a commodity trader. Dangote's grandfather was heavily involved in his upbringing and helped ignite his entrepreneurial spirit. For Dangote, one will have However, soon his wealth was handed out or easily channeled. Being an offspring of Dangote, for his success didn't come through daydreaming. Dangote complemented inherited fortune with deliberate hard work and innovation to pave his way to the top. Those who knew Dangote while growing up will not be surprised at his outstanding success. At age 8, Dangote uses pocket money to buy sweets, which he and others sell for a profit. Everything big in life starts from little. Taking a clue from this, Dangote, from a seed loan of 500,000 obtained from his uncle, started business, which he traded commodities and business supplies, primarily cement. By 1981, his firm was successful that he had incorporated other businesses and established the Dangote Group. His empire extended to foodstuffs, including sugar, salt, wheat, cement, haulage, and other business concerns. Among his holdings were Dangote Industries, Dangote Bale Nigeria, Dangote Cement PLC, Benue Cement Company PLC, Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC, Dangote Flour Mill, and Ally Industries PLC. In addition to his holdings in Nigeria, the Dangote Group has operations in several other African countries. With these giant strides in the business arena, Dangote will forever be grateful to his grandfather for giving him wings to fly. According to Forbes, an American business magazine, Dangote remains the richest man in Africa with an estimated fortune of $13.9 billion. Dangote is one Nigeria highly decorated with honors as well. His urine service and huge investment also got him both local and international recognitions. Like the Guardian Man of the Year in 2015, he won the 2016 African Business Leader Award organized by the African American Institute. Dangote was cited as one of the top most influential Africans by the New African magazine in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2019. He was recently conferred with the prestigious award of the National Order of the Lion by the President of Senegal. When it comes to breaking jinx, Dangote has it in full measures. He took his pioneering and jinx-breaking adventure to another dimension, unveiling of the $20 billion refinery, widely adjudged as the largest single-train petrochemical refinery in the world. The refinery has the total capacity of 650,000 barrels of crude per day and is expected to earn as much as $21 billion in annual income. Situated on 2,500 hectares site at the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Lagos, it is supplied with crude oil by the largest subsea pipeline infrastructure in the world. When fully in operation, the refinery will provide 135,000 permanent jobs in the region. When it comes to family life, Dangote seems to, however, prefer maintaining a low profile. He got married to Zainab in 1977 but divorced at an unknown date. He was later married to Maria Mohammed Rufai. Dangote has 3 daughters named Halima, Maria, Fatima, and he also adopted his Dangote is one grounded authority that combines real intelligence with self-effacing demeanor, a persona that naturally makes kindness. Like an eagle, Dangote's foresight and unusual business acumen make him a rare to come by. Though he owns chains of business in Nigeria and across Africa, the quest by this uncommon risk taker to conquer more business territories may not wane anytime soon.
Welcome back. South Africa's National Treasury reported on Tuesday that the country recorded a budget deficit of 38.35 billion rand in August, slightly lower than 39.40 billion rand shortfall posted in the same month of 2024. The data highlights the government's ongoing struggle to balance revenues with mounting expenditure pressures. Latest figure reflects a modest year-on-year improvement, but underscores persistent fiscal challenges, including sluggish economic growth, high debt service costs, and limited tax revenue. Treasury officials have previously warned that fiscal space remains constrained as the government faces competing demands for social spending, infrastructure investment, and debt stabilization. Analysts note that while the narrower deficit is a welcome development, it does little to ease concerns about South Africa's long-term fiscal trajectory. With the budget review due later this year, markets are watching closely for signals whether the government will pursue deeper spending cuts, new revenue measures, or seek alternative strategies to shore up public finances and investor confidence. The hum of sewing machines inside African textile factories is overshadowed by growing anxiety as the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, faces expiry on Tuesday. The landmark US trade laws, which for 25 years has granted duty-free access to certain African exports, has underpinned industries and jobs across the continent. Its possible lapse that now threatens livelihood and investments heavily reliant on an American market. Envoys from multiple African nations are lobbying Washington for extension, aware that the program has become a crucial pillar of trade relations with the United States. The uncertainty is already unsettling business owners who fear supply chains could be disrupted and contracts lost if duty-free privileges vanish. A White House official said that the Trump administration supports a one-year extension, but no formal announcement has been made. Analysts warn that the administration's broader records of tariffs raises concerns about Washington's long-term commitment, leaving exporters caught between hope and doubt. Now, China has opened its stock option market to foreign investors, marking a strategic move to strengthen the appeal of yuan assets and deepen global financial integration. The Shanghai Stock Exchange confirmed that qualified foreign institutional investors can now apply through trade options for hedging purposes. The development follows Beijing's wider reforms to attract foreign capitals, including increased access to bond repurchase market and expansion of cross-border trading schemes. The deregulation provides investors with risk management tools, and China's 100 trillion yuan stock market, which has seen renewed growth from policy support and investor confidence in Chinese innovations. Authorities also unveiled measures to boost offshore yuan businesses in Hong Kong and promote adoption of digital yuan. Analysts believe that the opening of the option market will enhance market liquidity, broaden participation, and accelerate China's goal of making its financial market more globally competitive. China's manufacturing sector contracted for a sixth straight month in September, highlighted continuing weakness in domestic demand and uncertainty over trade relations with the United States. Now, according to official data released on Tuesday, the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index PMI climbed to a six-month high of 49.8, up from 49.4 in August, while reading exceeded analyst expectation of 49.6. It remained below the 50-point threshold that signals growth, indicating ongoing contraction in factory activities. Analysts say the prolonged slump shows producers are holding back on new investments and production until Beijing rolls out additional stimulus measures to support consumption and restore business confidence. Uncertainty surrounding a potential US-China trade deal is also adding pressure, with many firms delaying major decisions until there is greater clarity. Policymakers have already introduced targeted support for key industries, but economists warn that the stronger fiscal and monetary measures may be needed to stabilize the manufacturing sector and sustain China's broader economic recovery. Now, Kuwait Petroleum Corporation has expressed confidence that global oil demand is expanding strongly, enough to support planned supply increases from OPEC. Chief Executive Officer Sheikh Nawaf Al-Sabah explained that energy markets have proven more resilient than many traders expected, creating conditions a gradual and carefully managed boost in output. He noted that the supply strategy implemented in stages by OPEC Plus members has contributed to maintaining relatively stability in international oil prices. The balance between rising consumption and controlled production is expected to underpin steady revenues for producers while sustaining confidence in energy markets. Industry analysts view Kuwait's outlook as an encouraging sign that oil remains a critical driver of economic stability, even as countries pursue long-term transition towards renewable energy. The statement reinforces OPEC Plus' role in global supply market to meet demands responsibly and avoid sharp expectations. Oil prices projected to remain stable in 2025 as rising production from both OPEC Plus and non-OPEC producers balance concerns about Russian output. A survey of economists and analysts show Brent crude is expected to average $67.61 per barrel, only slightly lower than earlier forecast, while West Texas Intermediate is projected at $64.39. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies have already raised production by more than 2.5 million barrels per day this year, adding to the global supply. At the same time, Russian export restrictions on diesel and gasoline alongside geopolitical tensions are preventing deeper declines in oil prices. Analysts note that while surplus concerns remain, the demand growth of about 0.7 million barrels per day offers stability. The International Energy Agency also projects that the global supply will continue expanding into 2026, creating a competitive but stable outlook for energy markets. We're going to a short break now, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay tuned.
Industry has a storied history, particularly in the northern parts of the country, where the art of leather farming and crafting has been perfected over centuries. Traditionally, leather was used primarily for functional items like sandals, bags, and saddles, with little emphasis on fashion. However, the narrative has changed drastically in recent years as Nigerian leather has evolved from a utilitarian product to a symbol of luxury and high fashion. Here is a special report by Bayo Olawi. The turning point for Nigerian leather came as local designers began to recognize its potential beyond traditional uses. They started to experiment with new designs, creating products that appeal to the modern consumer while maintaining the heritage of craftsmanship. The result has been a wave of leather products that are not only functional but also stylish and desirable on the global stage. One of the key factors driving the revolution is the exceptional quality of Nigerian leather, known for its durability and unique texture. Nigerian leather, particularly from goats and cattle, has become highly sought after by fashion houses both within and outside Africa. This demand has encouraged local artisans to up their game, focusing on quality control and finishing techniques to meet international standards. Moreover, Nigerian leather products have benefited from the global trend towards sustainable and ethically produced goods. Consumers are increasingly turning away from massively produced items in favor of the handcrafted sustainable alternatives. Nigerian leather made using traditional methods with minimal environmental impact fits perfectly into this narrative. This has opened up markets for Nigerian leather goods, particularly in Europe and North America. where there is a growing appreciation for products with a story and a conscience. The rise of Nigerian leather on the fashion scene is also closely tied to the country's booming creative industry. Fashion designers, many of whom have gained international recognition, are incorporating leather into their collections and innovative ways, from sleek handbags and bespoke shoes to stylish jackets and accessories. Nigerian leather is becoming a staple in high fashion. This trend is not only boosting the profile of Nigerian fashion, but also creating new opportunities for economic growth. The leather industry, once dominated by small-scale craftsmen, is now attracting significant investment. Entrepreneurs are setting up modern tannery and workshops, creating jobs and fostering skills development in the process. This industrialization of leather product is helping to formalize what was once an informal sector, leading to better working conditions and high incomes for artisans. However, the success of Nigerian leather market did not emerge without challenges. The industry still faces issues related to infrastructure, access to finance, and competition for imported goods. Additionally, there is the need for more investment in technology and innovation to further enhance the quality of leather products and make them more competitive in the global market. Despite these challenges, the future of Nigerian leather products looks bright. There is a growing recognition of the value of locally produced leather goods, both within Nigeria and globally. This is evident in the increasing number of fashion shows and trade fairs dedicated to promoting Nigerian leather products, as well as the rising demand from international buyers. The evolution of Nigerian leather from a utilitarian material to a symbol of high fashion is a testament to the creativity and resilience of the Nigerian artisans. It reflects the broader trend in the global fashion industry towards sustainability and craftsmanship. As the world continues to embrace African fashion, Nigerian leather is poised to become a major player on the international stage, offering a unique blend of tradition, quality, and style. This is just the beginning of what promises to be an exciting new chapter for Nigerian leather.
Welcome back. Now, the U.S. President Donald Trump has announced plans to impose a 100% tariff on all films produced overseas and imported into the country, extending his protectionist policies into cultural industries. The proposal, shared on his Truth Social account, raises uncertainty for Hollywood studios that rely on cross-border productions and international box office earnings. Industry stakeholders warn that the move could sharply increase production costs and disrupt thousands of jobs tied to overseas shoots, from visual effects artists to film crews. Hollywood has long benefited from global hubs like Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, where tax breaks support high-budget productions. The United States film sector currently enjoys a $15.3 billion trade surplus, with $22.6 billion in annual exports. According to the Motion Picture Association, analysts say the proposed tariff risks undermining this balance and could lead to higher costs for consumers. But unions and guilds are calling for alternative measures, such as domestic tax incentives to boost local film production and strengthen the industry's competitiveness. France Central Bank Governor Francis Villeroy de Castro has raised alarm over the impact of political gridlock and soaring public debt on the country's economic prospect. He warned that the combination of sterling investment, slowing hiring, and dampening consumer spending, creating uncertainty for business and households alike. Speaking in Paris, Villeroy stressed that prolonged political paralysis threatened to undermine confidence in France's ability to manage its fiscal responsibilities. He pointed to the growing burden of debt service, which now consumes a rising share of government revenue, leaving limited space for productive spending and economic reforms. According to him, this environment is discouraging long-term commitments for both investors and employers. The governor urged policymakers to find common ground on fiscal discipline and structural reforms, noting that stability is crucial to safeguard growth. He also underscored the need to address debt pressures in a balanced way that projects social priorities while restoring confidence in France's economic direction. YouTube has agreed to pay $24.45 million to settle a lawsuit filed by President Donald Trump after the platform suspended his account in the aftermath of January 6th Capitol attack. The settlement, confirmed on Monday, comes from YouTube's parent company, Alphabet, which also owns Google. It follows earlier agreements by Twitter and Facebook to compensate Trump of a similar account bans. Trump had long accused the major technology companies of political bias, arguing that conservatives were being systematically silenced online. His suspension, imposed in 2021, was justified at the time by platforms citing the risk of further violence in Washington, D.C. Supporters of Trump saw the action as censorship, while critics of the president insisted it was a necessary safeguard. The multi-million-dollar payout is seen as another victory for Trump in his ongoing battles with big tech. It also underscores the legal and political pressures facing social media giants as they balance free expression and responsibilities over harmful content. United States companies are accelerating plans to relocate critical work to India as President Donald Trump's steep hike in H-1B visas caused pressure firms dependent on skilled foreign labor. Now, economists and industry experts say the restrictions are strengthening India's role as a hub for global capability centers handling finance, product development, and research. India currently hosts more than 1,700 global capacity centers, with projections of over 2,200 by 2030, making it the largest destination worldwide. Analysts note that U.S. firms are prioritizing high-value functions such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and analytics for relocation, while choosing to keep strategic operations in-house rather than outsource. While the visa curbs and proposed outsourcing taxes raise risk for India's services sector, industry leaders believe surging demand for local capability centers will cushion potential shocks. Experts warn, however, that unresolved U.S.-India trade tensions could affect service flow even as corporations prepare for what they describe as a new wave of extreme offshoring. Now, the Trump administration has announced coal lease auctions in Alabama, Utah, Montana, and Wyoming, marking the first sales under its plan to revive the coal industry. The leases cover millions of tons of recoverable coal and are expected to draw attention from major mining firms eager to expand operations on federal lands. Companies will benefit from a reduced royalty rate of 7%, part of broader measures to boost coal-fired power generation. The auctions come after a decade in which United States coal production fell short 40%, driven by stronger regulations and growing competition from natural gas industry. Industry argued that the electricity demand rising, especially from artificial intelligence-driven consumption, coal remains a necessary and reliable energy source. The National Mining Association expects strong interest in the leasing as producers position to secure long-term reserves. Environmental groups, however, strongly oppose the auction, warning that new releases will lock in fossil fuel use for decades despite global efforts to curb emissions. They argue that the push delays the inevitable decline of coal while deepening risk of climate change. The auction are set to begin with Alabama's Tuscaloosa County leasing offering, followed by sales in Utah, Montana, and Wyoming in early October. In the world of sport, Milan's iconic San Siro Stadium, long regarded as football's La Scala, is set for demolition after City Hall approved its sale to Inter Milan and AC Milan. The landmark decision came early Tuesday following more than 11 hours of intense debate. In the end, 24 councillors voted in favour of the €197 million sale, with 20 against, enough to transfer ownership of the legendary ground and surrounding land to the two clubs. Both Inter and AC Milan have threatened to leave the city for suburban sites if the deal fell through. Their joint acquisition secures their continued presence in Italy's financial and sporting capital, while opening the doors to a new stadium project. The sale marks a turning point in Milan's football history. San Siro, which had hosted World Cups, Champions Leagues, finals, and countless Serie A classics, is likely to be demolished in the coming year. Club executives say plans for a modern replacement will aim to meet global standards in comfort, revenue generation, and sustainability. Liverpool manager Arsenal has dismissed reports that Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen was in a serious transfer target for the clubs.